Again, I'm Amy House. I'm a certified dementia practitioner, and I am an independently certified positive approach to care trainer. And that is with Teepa Snow and her wonderful program that she's put together, because Teepa can't be everywhere at once. Teepa can't share enough about dementia to the world. So what she has done is she has trained people like me to be able to present her information. And I've been working with Teepa for many years, learning from her and going through different trainings with her. So a lot of this has been put together over the years. It's a little different because of Zoom. I'm sorry I can't see you all and see you nodding your head or raising your hand or shaking your head. I'm going to miss that part of it, but I'm going to do the best I can. So we're going to go ahead and get started here. So we're talking about normal aging versus not normal aging. And Teepa really wanted to stress that just because something's not normal doesn't mean it's absolutely dementia. And I want to make sure that you leave this presentation with that information, because that is going to be very important. Why? Because you want to make sure that if it is dementia, you get the proper diagnosis. There are many different forms of dementia, and I'll talk about them later. Some do well with certain medications, some do not do well with certain medications and can make things worse. So you want to know what type of disease process is going on in the body that's causing dementia. Another reason this is really important is because only 16% of seniors regularly get cognitive visits with their doctor. And that's really sad. And that's something that the dementia community is really working on with physicians, to make sure that when people come to a appointment, that we're always checking their cognitive skills and keeping an eye on that, so that if there's a change, you are being compared to you and your test score from last year, so that you can really stay on top of that if there is a change. It's very important to advocate for your friends, for your family, to make sure that they're getting this proper diagnosis and information, because then you can find the right care, the right support, the right setting. And if someone does have dementia, those things are critical for them to feel their best, do their best, and be supported. And then just a reminder that if you have something that is not dementia, which I'm going to talk about later, it's important to get that treated and find out what it is, because if you don't, the risk of that developing into dementia is much higher. Okay, so now I'm going to do an Academy Award-winning performance. And many of you may have seen me do this before, but I'm going to do a couple little skits so that you can see the difference between normal aging and not normal aging and know what to look for. So while I do my amazing acting, I want you to all just write down, what do you notice in this skit that is something that you've noticed yourself doing, something that is obviously changing with me as I age? And then afterwards, we're going to go through them and we'll see how many that you got right. So, and scene. I'm going to be sitting here in my living room and I'm watching my program. And all of a sudden I think to myself, wow, I could really use a cup of coffee. So I decide to get up and I walk into the kitchen. And what happens the moment I walk into the kitchen? Ring, ring. Oh, it's the phone. Hello? Oh, hi there, Rachel. How are you doing? Oh, great, good, yes. Oh, yeah, how have you been? Good. So, today, let's see, what time? 2 o'clock. No, 2 o'clock. I don't have anything going on today at 2 o'clock. That would work out great. What should we do? Oh, yes, the chocolate shop. Yes, let's go there. Now that's at the mall, and that's right next to Macy's, right? Yeah, right there. Okay, so we'll meet there at 2 o'clock. That sounds good. Yeah, and oh, I'll always get the caramels. I love the caramels. And you always get the the coconut. Yes, you always get the coconut. Oh, good, and we can split the calories. It'll be great. Good, yeah. Okay, well, that would be great. Oh, you want me to bring the photos from our trip? Oh, yeah, sure. Wait till you see yourself in that bathing suit. Oh. Hey, Rachel, I was just kidding. Rachel. Oh, you look great. You always look great. Yeah, no, it'll be fun. Oh, sure. You want me to give Tammy a call? Yeah, I can call Tammy and invite her. Yeah, I'll pick her up. That sounds fun. Okay. Good, good. All right, well, I will, I'll bring those photos and call Tammy, and I'll see you at 2 o'clock. Okay, great. Then I hang up the phone and I'm in my kitchen. Of course, I look around and go, now, why did I come in here? Right? You're all nodding your heads. You've all done this, right? So what we have is something called compensatory cueing. And so first thing I do is I look around the room trying to think about, what did I come in here for? And I may see something. I might see a coffee cup, and that might go ahead and trigger my memory, but it doesn't this time. So then what do? I start talking to myself. I start saying out loud, now, what did I come in here for? And that's because, again, that's another cueing mechanism. Talking to myself, saying it out loud is going to help my brain try to remember what I was doing in here. But let's say that doesn't work. And I decide to go all the way back to the living room, and I sit down in the chair, and what happens? I sit down, and the first thing, oh, coffee. That's right, coffee. Yes, that's what I was going to go do. So I go back in the kitchen. I notice that there's still a dirty coffee cup out from this morning. And I think, oh, I must have forgotten to put that in the dishwasher. I must have gotten sidetracked. Throw that in the dishwasher, and I grab my coffee, and I continue having a good day. I go meet Rachel at 2 o'clock, and we have a good time. So, and scene, that is normal aging. Now, I hope you all wrote down a few things about normal aging that you caught in my little skit there, and let's go through them. So one thing that happens with normal aging is that it took a while for me to find Rachel's name, but I did. I recognized who she was, and there are times where maybe I had trouble finding my words. So your brain is like a file cabinet, and one thing in particular that gets more difficult to find are nouns. There are so many nouns in this world. Nouns are person, places, and things. And those items are like all in that file cabinet in your brain. And as we get older, it takes longer to shuffle through those files and find the word that we are looking for. And that is normal. Whew, you can all take a big sigh of relief. That is completely normal. Now, I'll talk a little bit later about what happens with those nouns that is not normal. Another thing that you may have noticed I did was I said something pretty rude to my friend Rachel. I said, oh, wait till you see yourself in that bathing suit. Now, she took offense to my words, right? She was not happy hearing that. And what did I do? I backpedaled right away because I realized, oops, I hurt her feelings. Now, everybody just take a moment and put your hand on top of your head, on your forehead. This is your frontal lobe. This is where your filter is. With normal aging, your filter starts to crack open a little bit, but it's still there. And so with normal aging, you might find that you just said something because you just had to. You just had to get it off your chest, and you just had to say something. But you will maybe say it under your breath. You maybe will say it very quietly to somebody next to you. Or you may say it out loud, but then the moment you realize that it's hurt someone's feelings or that they don't agree with you, you may learn to backpedal and apologize and say you were kidding. That's all part of normal aging. So as you get older, you will just say something because you just got to say something. Another thing that happened is I forgot why I even went into the kitchen in the first place. And that is because we have on our left side of our brain here, a part of the brain that is our working memory. So that is where we're keeping items that we need to have immediately, things that are coming in quickly and our body hasn't decided whether or not we need to keep this long-term on the other side of our brain. So those are over there. We can only keep 5 to 8 items in our working brain. So, and I'll tell you what, that 8 items, that is really when we are about 23 years old. We may keep those skills if we're using them a lot, but over time, it's going to be less and less, and it's probably going to be about 5 items that we can keep in that working memory. So when you look at the scenario I just wonderfully played out for you, you'll notice that what happened. So first, I was going to get some coffee. That's one thing. And then I was going to talk, then I got a phone call and I was talking to Rachel. She wants to meet me at 2 o'clock. She wants to meet at the coffee shop. She wants me to bring the photos, and she wants me to call Tammy. All right. Those are 6 items right there that I'm thinking about. So guess what happened? Maybe I can only do 5. So I'm going to lose, I'm going to lose that coffee that I went in the kitchen for in the first place. That's just going to slip away. And that's normal with aging. We can only keep so much going on in our working brains and in the working part of our brain. So don't worry about that. I also noticed that I had left out a coffee cup from the morning, and I thought, oh, usually I put these away right away. I guess I got sidetracked after breakfast. I'm not worried about it. It's normal aging. All right. A few more things just about normal aging is that, again, you might have trouble recalling a word. You might have to describe something to really get it to pop up in your memory. You may have to give people time to process information as they get older. Go slower. It takes longer to think about something. It takes longer to do something than it did when you were younger, but you can still do those things. An important part of that is that you can still learn new information. You can still figure out how to, run that Blu-ray player that your children got you for Christmas and thought you would just love. And then you're looking at it going, oh my goodness, look at all these buttons on the remote and all these cords that go into the back of the TV. On the TV, I have to select different inputs. What is all this? But you can learn it. It may take time. You may have to repeatedly go over it a few times. You may want to even write things down and remember what those buttons do, or write those down so that you can look back on them next time. But you will learn it. It will just take some time. And that is with normal aging. People may be more hesitant. They may look before they leap. And that is part of normal aging, because that is something to be proud of. That means that you have learned that you should sometimes think things through. And that's good. You have learned that skill over your lifetime. So as you get older, you're going to use that skill a little more. There may be times where you run into somebody at church, or somebody who calls you and you know the person, but you cannot think of their name. I know it's terrifying. It's just horrible. But now that you've been to my presentation, you can tell everybody in that moment, this is normal aging. I'm looking for your name. And once it pops in your head, you will know who they are and you'll remember who they are. And that might mean that you're pausing while you're looking for those words. Also, new data might remind you of old data. So you may be getting that DVD player and thinking about the previous one that you had, trying to use those skills to figure that out. And that's just, again, part of what you have learned over time works and how your brain works. So that's all normal. Okay, so now I'm going to do the skit with not normal aging. And this one is going to be a doozy. And I'd like you to write down while you're watching me anything you notice that seems concerning to you, anything that seems different from the previous little skit that I did. And we'll go through it at the end. So here I am, somebody with not normal aging. And I'm sitting in my chair and I'm watching my morning show. And I think, I could use a cup of coffee. I'm tired. So I walk into the kitchen, and as I walk into the kitchen, what happens? Ring, ring. The phone rings. Hello. Hi. Hi, how are you? You're my favorite. How are you, my favorite? Yes. Rachel, yes, Rachel. Oh, I knew it was you. I knew it was you the whole time. Yeah, how are you doing? Oh, good. Today? Yeah, I'm not doing anything today. Sure, I can meet you. What time do you want to meet? 2:00. Yeah, I can meet you at 2:00. Where should we go? The chocolate shop. Oh, I love that place. Now that's the place at the mall, right? And it's right next to Dayton's. No, Rachel, Dayton's. Macy's? No, I've not heard of a Macy's. I'm Macy's. I'm talking about Dayton's. It's right on the east end of the mall there, the big department store. And you just walk through there, and then there's the chocolate shop. Well, as long as you go to the east end, that's what matters. Okay, so I'll meet you there on the east end, and we'll get into the chocolate shop. You'll see it's a Dayton's. Good. Okay. Oh, you want me to bring the photos? Yeah, I can bring some some photos. Oh my goodness, wait till you see yourself in that bathing suit. Well, don't get upset with me. You're the one who's been eating too much. Oh, come on now, Rachel. Come on now. Yeah, let's just go. Yeah, we're gonna have a good time. Don't worry about it. We'll have a good time. No, we'll have the chocolate. It'll be good. I'll have the caramel. Yes, I always have the caramel, and then you always get the coconut. That's an awfully big nut. How do you manage to eat that? What? I don't know. We'll see that. We'll see it, and I'll know exactly what to get. Yeah, I'll know when we get there. Okay. Okay, good. Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I'll bring that. Oh, sure. You want me to call Tammy? Yeah, I'll call Tammy. I can go pick her up. Yeah, that would be fun. Okay, great. Well, I'll talk to you later. Okay, bye-bye. I hang up the phone and I look around the kitchen and I think, now what did I come in here for? And what do I see but a dirty coffee cup? Look at this. I have proof. I've been telling my daughter for weeks that somebody's coming into my house and drinking my coffee. And now I have proof. I'm gonna put this somewhere that I'll be able. I don't want anybody else to find this. I'm gonna put this in the freezer that I'll remember it's there and I'll show her. I'm gonna show her finally. And I go back into the living room and I sit down and I continue to watch my show. What happens at 2:00? Ring, ring. Hello? Oh, hi there. Hey, Rachel. Yeah, hi. How are you doing? I'm good. Today? No. No, Rachel, we didn't have any plans today. I think I would know if we had plans. No, Rachel. No, Rachel, this is the first time that I've talked to you. How have you been? Yeah, how have you been? Rachel, no. Rachel, no, we did not have plans. I would know if we had plans. Rachel, I think something's wrong with you. I think you might have that dementia. Click. And scene. So, what happened there? A lot. So let's unpack that. First of all, I was very vague with Rachel on the phone when I answered because I had no idea who I was talking to for quite some time until she told me. So I said things like, oh, you, how are you? You're my favorite. That is a sign that I really am not finding the person. I'm not searching for it. I'm not able to find that file until someone tells me who that is. The other thing that you may have noticed is that I was talking about the chocolate shop being right next to Dayton's. And Dayton's has not been at the mall for like 25 years. So that means that I am traveling back in time. I am losing time and I am thinking of the mall as a place that has a big Dayton's and you go inside and you see a little chocolate shop. I have completely forgotten that they took that down and it's now a Macy's. That is a big red flag. I will tell you a story about my grandpa. He had Alzheimer's. And when he was, him and my grandma were fighting a lot. Oh, they were fighting all the time because he would say something kind of like that Dayton's situation. And she would correct him. And then they would be arguing back and forth about what's the name of that old store on the corner or who lives there now. What time is it? It's not time to have a beer yet. Why are you drinking at 10 a.m.? All those things would come up. And one of the things that finally was a huge red flag to my family is that when he was mowing the lawn on his big riding lawnmower, all of a sudden he started going down the neighbor's field with the lawnmower. And my grandma ran out there and said, "What are you doing?" And he said, it's gonna rain. We gotta get the hay in. We gotta get this hay made. And that was a big red flag because that means that he was going back in time. He was thinking of the time when that land was his. He's thinking of the time when that hayfield belonged to him. And he was thinking that the lawnmower he was riding on was a big tractor that was going to take care of that hay. So that is a huge red flag. And this is the point of the disease. It's usually the mid part of the disease, but it is where most people get diagnosed because of that. Before that, a lot of people can argue and think, do you notice something's going on with mom? Do you notice? No, I think she's doing fine. There's a lot of arguing possibly between family members as to whether or not to be concerned. And I'm telling you now, if somebody is concerned, you are right to be. And hopefully by the end of this presentation, you will know what to do. So the other thing that came up in my skit was that I could not understand when she said coconut, right? I was picturing a coconut, a big coconut. And I could not think about a shredded coconut. And I was just blown away by why she would try to eat that. That's because I'm having trouble understanding the meaning of words. So I'm no longer having trouble with just trying to find that file in the file cabinet. I'm having a hard time with even understanding the meaning of that word. And words with double meanings are a problem that can kind of pop up early because that's something I really struggle with. So somebody might say to me, hey, yeah, we'll swing by at 8 o'clock tomorrow. And I might think to myself, well, we haven't had a swing set since the kids were little. What is she talking about? I might not say anything because I don't want anybody to know that I'm confused. But that's the kind of things that I will struggle with, are words with double meanings at first. The other thing was that I did not care that I offended my friend Rachel about her bathing suit in the photos. So go ahead and everybody put your hand on your forehead again, so you'll never forget this. And the next time something happens with your filter, you're gonna put your hand right there. So we talked about how with normal aging, that's gonna crack a little, right? It's gonna start to open up. With dementia, your filter is gone. That filter is not there anymore. It has taken a vacation. And you're gonna say whatever you wanna say. And you're not even gonna be aware that it hurts someone's feelings. You're just gonna say it because it's the truth and it's how you feel and that's what you think. And that is a sign that you are losing that empathy for other people, which is another thing in your frontal lobe here. And that filter is gone. The other thing I said was that she called me later, right? She called at 2 o'clock and said, where are you? I was shocked. I was absolutely shocked. I didn't remember that she called me. I didn't remember that we had an appointment. Of course, I didn't call her friend Tammy because the moment I hung up the phone, I forgot about it all. So that is a huge red flag. You know, it's one thing to have the salon call and say, hey, I thought you were going to be here at 10 a.m. And for you to go, oh my goodness, I completely forgot. But you still know that you had that appointment and it just slipped your mind. It's very different if the salon calls and says, hey, we had you on an appointment today at 10 a.m. Are you still coming? And the answer is, I don't have an appointment. I don't know what you're talking about. That means that I am, again, losing chunks of time. I am forgetting conversations that I had. I'm forgetting appointments that I set. And that is a big red flag. The other thing that happened when I was going through my little skit was I saw this dirty coffee cup. And my reasoning and my judgment are not what they were supposed to be. So I looked at that, and the first thing I thought is, I have proof that people are coming in my house and they are drinking my coffee. And I'm going to keep this and I'm going to show my daughter. And that is some paranoia. Okay, that's a concern because that's paranoia that there are people coming in your home, there are people taking your things. A lot of that is because I can't remember where I'm putting my things. I can't remember that I hid my wallet in, underneath my mattress. So I'm searching the house thinking somebody came in and stole it. And that is a big red flag. You will hear from people who have not normal aging signs that somebody stole this, somebody took this. I don't know why they would do that. They'll be very angry with whoever did it. And that's because that part of the brain that has reasoning and judgment, it's not working right. And they're jumping to conclusions and then their brain says, yep, that must be it. That must be it. I had a lady that I took care of, and when her family was going through her cupboards, they found cash hidden in all of the boxes, all the cereal boxes and all the macaroni boxes. It all had cash hidden in it. And that was a big red flag for them that, oh my goodness, why is she hiding all of this? And she was, of course, worried that somebody was going to steal it because She was constantly misplacing her money and then assuming somebody was coming in her apartment and stealing it. So that is another big red flag. Okay, so just a few more things about not normal aging. Again, you're unable to successfully place a person. You're unable to think the same and do things as you were before. So somebody who was able to run that remote control for the television with no problem before, all of a sudden they can't do it. And I recently was speaking to somebody who was very frustrated with their loved one because they said sometimes they can run this remote control just fine and they can watch TV on their own. Other times it's like they don't want to learn. It's like they're, just pretending that they don't know what to do because they want me to do it for them. That is not the case. When somebody has dementia, their brain cells are shrinking, and their brain by the end of the disease will actually be 1/3 of its original size. TIPA always says if somebody's head shrunk the way their brain shrunk, we would be able to see this disease. We would be able to see it and recognize and empathize and realizing that somebody's not doing something on purpose. They are just doing the best that they can with what they have. And they're not working with a full and healthy brain like we are. So things can come and go, which I'll talk about more later. Somebody may have trouble getting started on a task. Again, that frontal lobe there is where you have your executive function. That's the part of your brain that helps you figure out when I'm going to make this recipe, what's the first thing I should do? I should probably grab my bowls and I should probably grab my spoons and my measuring cups. When you don't have that part of your brain, you're thinking, I would like to bake a cake, but you don't even know where to start. It's very difficult for you to figure out where to start. And once you start, it's hard for you to even follow the steps correctly. Another thing that we talked about is getting confused between the past and the present. Words may not even come out with a visual or a verbal or a touch cue. The meaning of the word is lost. Now, my husband is constantly probably annoyed at the fact that I will say, hey, will you hand me the whatchamacallit there? The whatchamacallit? And he'll say, the remote. And I'll say, yeah, the remote, give it to me. Great, thank you. That's normal. I can't find the word right now, and I'm just not gonna even try to find it. What would not be normal is if I said, can you hand me the whatchamacallit there, the thing there? And he said the remote, and I said, I don't know what it's called. I just need that thing there, right there. Yep, I want that. That means I'm not even understanding that he found the word for me because I'm not thinking about the meaning of words anymore. I can't. So that's a concern. Another thing that is concerning is if somebody has a personality change. You may have somebody who is really energetic and boisterous and they like to be out and talking to people and doing things, and all of a sudden they're saying no to more and more things. And that is a big concern because when people start having changes like this, they notice. They start realizing that during that card game, they're making mistakes and they don't want anybody else to see those mistakes. So they'll start saying no to a lot of things. Do you want to go with me to church on Sunday? Oh, no, I like my Sundays to myself. There's too many people there. It may be that when they go to church, there's all these people that they can't remember, that they don't remember where the bathroom is at church, that they're worried if they get there, will they know how to get home? There's a lot of concern. So the easiest answer is no, that's okay. I'm not going to go. I don't want to do that anymore. I'm just not into baking anymore. I'm not going to go to that baking activity. I'm not going to make those Christmas cookies. That is a big concern because there could be a reason behind that. So the Alzheimer's Association, which you can find on their website, talks about the major warning signs of Alzheimer's. And those are, of course, memory loss that disrupts a daily life, challenges in planning and solving problems, even thinking about things like the checkbook, finances. Those take a lot of your executive function to operate and think about balancing and making sure things are paid. If you start noticing that somebody is slipping in their bills, that is a concern. Again, talking about confusion with time and place. And then another one here that they mention are having trouble understanding visual images and spatial relationships. I can tell you, as a director of a memory care, I take care of a lot of people, and I have had people that think a stuffed animal is a real animal, because when they see it, all they see is that familiar furriness. They're really not able to see the depth of it and understand that it is not real, it's not moving. They may see something on the television and think it's real also. They might think that person is in the living room with them. Spatial recognition, people may have trouble. They start, bumping into things when they're walking by, and all of a sudden you notice they're always having a bruise on their leg, and it's because they're bumping into things around the house. And that's because this disease affects your whole brain. It doesn't affect just your memory and your speech, it affects your whole brain. So one thing it affects is your vision, and your peripheral vision that's out here where I can see my fingers wiggling right now narrows and narrows and narrows for dementia. So then all of a sudden I'm not noticing that dresser and I'm bumping into it as I walk by. Another thing that people may have trouble with is decreased or poor judgment. Is someone saying yes to every call they get, every person who's asking for money for this organization or that organization, and maybe they didn't do that before? That is a big concern, because that means that their reasoning and judgment is decreased, and that they're just willing to give their money to anybody. And then we talked about withdrawal from work or social activities and changes in mood and personality. Somebody, again, who was very outgoing, all of a sudden they're quiet and they're not really jumping in on the conversation like they used to. It might be because they're kind of lost in this conversation and they don't want to say anything and they don't want anybody to know. So again, they're going to keep quiet. Okay, so now I'm going to go a little bit into why I hope that, of everything I'm going to talk about here today, I want to make sure that you go away with this message. If you notice some changes, you should go to the doctor, get an assessment. You need to know what those are. And there's many reasons. First of all, is this dementia or is it something else? Because again, like I talked about at the beginning, if this is not dementia and it's something that is treatable, you are setting yourself up for failure by not treating it. And likely those things will worsen until they really do become dementia. So let's go over a few things that mimic dementia, because again, this is the message I want you to think to yourself. I want you to share with your family member that you're concerned with. We need to go to the doctor because it could be something else. You might not have dementia. We need to go find out what it is so that we can treat it. It can keep you independent. Let's try to see if we can fix this. That is the message I want you to give your loved ones when they're saying, nope, I don't need to see the doctor. Nope, I don't want to go. They're getting angry with you. You will say, I would like you to go because you're important to me. Your independence is important to me. Your abilities are important to me. And I want to make sure that if this is something that can be treated, we figure it out right away. So here are some things that can be treated that mimic dementia symptoms. First of all, a urinary tract infection. You may have had these earlier in your life and they did not cause any problems. For you, they were obviously noticeable and uncomfortable. But as you age, a urinary tract infection, or any infection for that matter, can really take its toll on your body and your brain. And people can get very confused. They can start having falls. They can just, really have a swift change, and it may be an infection. And again, very important to get those infections treated because that's something that can be cleared up usually. Another one is stress. When I bought my first home, I locked myself out of the house 3 times in 1 week. Yeah. And I was thinking to myself, I need a brain scan. But after a while, when I acclimated to being the homeowner and figuring everything out and everything finally got unpacked, and that stress level went from way up here to down here where it belongs, my brain came back with it. So if somebody is having some problems, let's talk about their stress level. Let's find out what's going on. Are there things that you're worrying about? Because all that stress takes up a lot of brain power, and there are other areas that might have trouble because of that. A big one is hearing loss. Now, my friend Mary Bauer at Deaf and Hard of Hearing Services at Minnesota DHS, she taught me something really important about hearing loss. She said that somebody who has mild hearing loss, so you're just missing things here or there, that you have twice as likely the risk of developing dementia. And somebody with moderate hearing loss, so that means that you're saying, pardon, can you repeat that here or there? That person is 3 times as likely to develop dementia. And finally, somebody with severe hearing loss is 5 times more likely to develop dementia. So Mary has gotten involved with me. We've done some presentations together because DHS realizes there is a huge link between hearing loss and dementia. And, we think that it's probably because you're not having that stimulation. You're not catching the conversations, you're not part of them, you're kind of going further and further into yourself. And that stimulation is what keeps your brain sharp and what keeps things going. And if you don't use it, you're going to lose it. So hearing loss is a big one. If you know somebody with a hearing aid or who should have a hearing aid, encourage them to wear it every day. Encourage them to go get evaluated, because hearing loss can really lead to something a lot more horrible later in life if it's not treated. All right, other things that can happen are thyroid problems, vitamin deficiencies. Those are things that, the doctor just runs some labs and they realize there's an issue, they give you a medication and you're fixed. So again, something very treatable, very easy to take care of. Another thing that can mimic dementia is a brain tumor. A brain tumor is going to be a lot more complicated than just a thyroid problem. But there are surgeries, there are treatment, there are ways that they can take care of brain tumors. So you're going to want to know, is that what it is? And make some decisions about what you want to do to treat it. Heart problems, which can cause problems with the circulation in your brain, that can be another thing that can mimic the signs of dementia. So you want to make sure to get that old ticker checked out. And then we have medications. Oh boy, if you notice a change in somebody and you find that they have started a new medication in the past weeks or the past months, definitely speak to their doctor about that, because it could be a side effect of that medication. Maybe the dose is too much. Maybe it's just the wrong medication for that person. Everybody is so unique. So just because the doctor gives you a pill doesn't mean that it's going to work best for you. You can also speak to your pharmacist about that. You can call any pharmacist and say, hey, my husband is taking blah, blah, blah. Could that be causing some memory problems for him? And a pharmacist will be able to talk you through what to be concerned about. And then I'm going to talk a little bit more about depression and delirium. Depression is something that happens sometimes with normal aging. We are facing a lot of loss as we get older, and the people that we know were possibly passing away and changes are happening. People may move out of their home. They may be moving into a facility. Even if they're happy about the move, it's still a big change. It's still a loss in their life. Somebody may feel like they're having a lot of pain. They're not able to do the things that they want to anymore. And so depression may set in, which is a very treatable diagnosis. So people might be like really foggy. I just can't think. I don't know why. I feel like I'm just not there, They may feel like they're just not worth it, that they just don't think they should live anymore. There could be some loss of function. Your depression can really cause pain in the body. It can cause the inability to do things. So it affects your whole body, not just your mind. You may notice somebody has some mood swings and personality changes. That could be depression. Especially with men, we notice that usually that can come out as anger with men with depression. With women, it may be more of being sad and withdrawing, but sometimes with men, it comes out as them just kind of being ready to boil over at the smallest thing. And that can be a concern that there's just something chemically imbalanced going on that could be treated. And is the person having trouble sleeping, or are they sleeping too much? Those are all signs of depression and things to consider for anybody at any age. So with some of these, you may see somebody in what's called delirium. Delirium could be brought on by an infection. It could be brought on by a medication concern and medication toxicity that we talked about. But you will notice it is a very quick and sudden change. You know, you're over there visiting somebody one day and they are doing great, and 2 days later you go back and all of a sudden they can't really walk very good, or they're talking about the little children in the trees outside and they're hallucinating. You know, they're just very confused and having trouble talking and or distressed. And that could be that somebody is having a delirium, which is just a sudden shift to all these symptoms, and it's usually because there's an underlying infection or medication or some other kind of toxicity going on. It's very dangerous. And if you notice that with somebody, go to the doctor immediately. If you can't get into your primary physician that day, go to the emergency room or urgent care, because that is very dangerous. We want to get that figured out right away. There could be blood levels that are abnormal, something that needs to be fixed, and it needs to be fixed quickly. So don't hesitate. Don't wait for that next appointment time. Don't think we'll talk about it next week when we're going to go see the doctor anyways. Take care of that right away and make sure you get somebody help. So I just want to finish up here and just talk a little bit about dementia. I have other presentations that are really going to get into dementia, the stages of dementia, how it works, but I want you to realize, you know, what is different about dementia. It is both a chemical change and a structural change in the brain. I'm going to show the next slide here so you can see the structural change in the brain. You can see on the right there, that is the brain of somebody with Alzheimer's at the end of their life. And on the left is a healthy brain. The most important thing there is that those are two men with the same height, the same build, and the same circumference around their head. So essentially, they started out with the same size brain. And you can see how those brain cells are shrinking and how those cells are dying and what they're working with. Again, so that we can have the empathy and realize that they are working with the best, they're doing the best they can with what they have. And what they have is much, you know, is damaged. It's damaged. So just to help you realize visually what that looks like. Just want to ask a quick question of all of you. Do you know the difference between dementia and Alzheimer's? Well, dementia is an umbrella term. It's a set of symptoms that I talked about, things that happen to the brain that are showing up elsewhere in the body. Trouble with your memory, trouble with your motor function, trouble with understanding language. Those are just symptoms of a disease that is causing it. So underneath that are all the diseases here that can cause dementia. And there are over, I think there's 107 right now that are possible causes of dementia. And they even have discovered dementia in children. So there are a lot of different diseases that cause this dementia, which are just the symptoms and behaviors. So if you have dementia, you might have Alzheimer's. That is the majority of people who have dementia. Over 50% of people with dementia have Alzheimer's. But you may also have something else. You might have a different type of dementia, like Lewy body or frontal temporal lobe dementia. You may have a vascular dementia, which is, you know, happened from a stroke. It could be that you had a history of problems with your with alcohol or with drugs that affected your brain. There are mental health conditions that can affect your brain and bring on dementia symptoms. Parkinson's is another disease that can bring on dementia symptoms. So if you have dementia, you may or may not have Alzheimer's. Could be any of those. But if you have Alzheimer's, you have dementia. So I hope that helps clear it up with how that works and what the difference is. I hear from so many families in my support group, what exactly is the difference between dementia and Alzheimer's? So I hope that cleared it up. So I just want to finish here and talk a little bit about the available workshops I have through TIPA. And one of them is Hand Under Hand, and that's how to care for somebody. That is about how to assist somebody with their cares and help them with bathing, with eating. That's a way to help somebody physically with cares. If you're a caregiver, that would be a great workshop for you to attend. And the other one I do is called TIPA Senior Gems. And those are looking at the stages of dementia as precious gems, starting with the blue right there, the blue sapphire, and going all the way to the pearl. It helps us remember what stage somebody is in and understanding how to best support them in that stage. So those are some available workshops. If you see me sending out an email with those, you can join anytime. Or if you find that you want me to help at your facility, or I've done these for the fire department, the police station, all those places. If you think somebody would benefit from this information, you can contact me. Okay, so we are going to go now to questions, and I hope this is going to go smooth. I'm going to take and invite all of you to unmute. So just give me a second, because that might take a moment. I do have on the screen right now all of my information. So if you want to talk to me privately about something, if you want to send me a question in an email or feedback, you can. And I'm just going to see here how I do this. Unmute all. Ask all to unmute. See, I'm talking to myself, right? I'm talking to myself. So something should pop up on your screen right now. It says, the host would like you to unmute. And it's saying, would you like to stay muted, or do you want to unmute? If you want to be able to ask a question and for me to hear you and for the rest of the group to hear you, you're going to hit unmute. And then we're going to be able to ask questions. I'm going to try to pull up my chat box here too, so I can see if anybody writes in a question, and we'll take as long as it takes to answer any questions that you have. Okay, so right now I have a comment in the chat box. Great information, and I'm glad that you enjoyed the presentation, Stacy. So does anybody have a question that you want to say in front of the group?
Yes, I do.
Hello.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
How do you address to someone that you think we are getting signs of dementia? How do you bring it up?
How do you bring it up? Yes, this is a very good question. So first of all, we need to tug on the heartstrings, right? You have to start this conversation out with, I love you, I care about you, and I'm concerned about you. And I think it's important to bring up some of the information that you learned today, which is there's something going on with you. And I think it's important that we go to the doctor and find out what it is. And the reason that's so important is because it could be something other than dementia. Okay, I know you're scared. I know you think you're losing your mind, but it could be something else. So let's go to the doctor and find out if it's treatable. I will remind people that, you might just have a vitamin deficiency. You might just have to take some vitamins and fix all this. The person hopefully can realize that this is impacting their life and impacting the people around them, and realize that it could be a treatable condition that can be fixed. I'm hoping that would be able to persuade most people so that they are encouraged to go and get some help and find out what's going on. I also talked about the cognitive testing you can get at your doctor. It's really important to ask them for that, because again, they're not offering it. So, if you want at any time in your life, you can say, hey, give me the little cognitive test. It takes like 5 minutes. You just write things down and answer some questions. And then they take that and they put that in your file. And what's important about that is that maybe 5 years from now, you decide to take it again and you notice a little bit of a change. Maybe a couple years after that, you notice a big change. It's important to know that you're being compared to you and the scores that you've had in the past, because that score for somebody might mean a big red flag if they have really great cognitive abilities and there's a sudden change. For most people, it may not be something that they're concerned about with a score like that. So it's important that they're looking at your score before and your score now. It's also very helpful in case something happens to you, like if you have a stroke or anything else, you can go back and look at what was your cognitive function before, so that therapy knows where they're trying to get to again. Anybody have another question for me?
I have a question, Amy.
Sure.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Catherine.
Okay. This isn't something that I go around talking about ever, but I'm going to mention it to you, and it might be helpful to somebody else too. But anyway, when I was very young, when I was in my 20s, I had I had a breakdown, a mental breakdown. The diagnosis was acute schizophrenia. And ever since then, I have taken psychotropic medications, which do, for me has been a wonderful help. I've been able to do the things that I have wanted to do in my life. And, I just did everything that I wanted to do. However, I'm wondering if that kind of difficulty in your life, mental health issues, if you're more apt to develop dementia at an earlier age.
Yes, good question, Catherine. What she's asking about is if you have mental health conditions, could those lead to dementia? And there are some mental health issues that can lead to dementia, but untreatable is a really big red flag and concern, because without those medications, without that treatment, people may withdraw. They may stop doing the things that keep their brain active. They may stop engaging in conversations. They may stop answering the phone. They may have more issues that can eventually lead to dementia because of that isolation and that not using your brain. So definitely any mental health conditions you should go to your doctor right away, talk about your concerns, see a psychiatrist if you need to. And there are geriatric psychiatrists out there that specifically treat seniors, because every medication for a 20-year-old may not work well for somebody who's 80 years old. So yeah, I think it's important to get those treated.
Okay.
Any other
Thank you.
questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes.
With so many people using the iPad or crossword puzzles, what are good things to stimulate our brains? I've heard that before in the past. Keep stimulating your brain so you don't get dementia.
Yes, it is very important to keep your brain active and doing things that challenge it. There are times where I ride in the car with my husband and he wants me to put in the GPS where we're going. And I'm like, no, I think I can remember it. I think I can remember where they live. And he's worried, like, oh my goodness, we're going to get lost. But we got all the time in the world, right? It's okay. So I do those things because I want to challenge my brain. I don't want a phone to do everything for me. I want to be able to challenge myself and keep track of things and keep my working memory going. As we get older, we're obviously going to write things down more. We're going to set alarms on our phone. We're going to do a lot of things that can help us so that we can remember things and keep track of things. But, challenge yourself here or there. Challenge yourself to remember something. Put everything down on a list and then keep it in your pocket and see if you can go through the grocery store and remember what was on that list. Those are just everyday things that you can do to challenge your brain. But Yes, the iPad, iPhones, all those app-based tablets, they have a lot of great brain teaser games on them. So you can go in and search in your app store for brain teaser or crosswords or puzzles. Those things will come up, and some of them are timed, which challenges you even more to try to make sure you can do it within the time limit, and that keeps your brain going. That definitely helps. I know my grandma always did her crossword every day because she was diabetic, and she said, I know the moment that I can't manage my own diabetes is the moment I'm going to need help. So I have to stay independent. I have to keep my brain sharp. And she did. She did a great job with it.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Does hydration have anything to do with memory loss or weakness?
Yes, hydration is a huge part. Your brain is 90% water. And so that having that hydration that goes everywhere in your body and keeping everything fully hydrated by drinking lots of water each day is really important for your brain to function. You might feel foggy, you might feel like you're just, just having trouble. It could be that you just need to drink more. That is a very easy tip. And sometimes you have to force yourself to do it, right? You have to maybe start with a big mug of something in the morning and say, I'm going to get this down by noon. Another thing that's important is that caffeinated beverages are not hydrating. They are actually doing the opposite. Caffeine is a diuretic, which means it makes your body go to the bathroom and just run through all of that. And so it's important that you're drinking things that are non-caffeinated and things that are, and then just plain water, of course. As long as it doesn't have caffeine, you're going to get the hydration from it. So I know people who also just drink decaf coffee because they love coffee, but they realize that at some point maybe they should switch to decaf so they're not doing the opposite.
Thank
Also,
you.
while we're talking about that, I should say that exercise and how you eat definitely affect your brain too, and how you can keep your brain sharp. There is a wonderful website if you want to look up called, you can look at the Cleveland Clinic 6 Pillars of Health. That is a great website that the Cleveland Clinic put together that talks specifically about the way to stay healthy and keep your mind healthy.
Thank you. One more question. I have a friend that he'll say something, but I know he's wrong, and he truly believes it. And I know he's got early Alzheimer's. How do I set him straight each time, or what do I do? I mean, we can get into a big argument here.
Yes, yeah, that is something that happened. Like I was talking about with my grandparents. They were married for 60 years, and then all of a sudden, it was like you were worried they were going to leave each other because they were arguing so much over little things. If somebody does have signs of dementia, maybe you want to challenge them every once in a while to find out what do they really mean by that. But if you know that their mind is having issues, I don't think you should challenge everything that they say. That's going to make things really hard, right? It's going to make your relationship difficult. It's going to affect everybody in the room if they're constantly arguing. So instead of challenging that person when they make mistakes, just make a note. Make a note of it. And again, work on the big picture. The big picture is let's get you to the doctor to check on everything. And many times you have to go with somebody to the doctor. Somebody has to be that second set of ears. I used to take care of a gentleman, and his wife told me that when things were changing, he went to the doctor. He did what you were supposed to do. But then he came home and the wife said, how did the doctor go? I don't know, fine. I mean, I don't know. I couldn't even understand him. I think it's like, yeah, I don't know what he had to say. He had no idea. He said, I think he told his wife eventually that he didn't think the doctor spoke English. And so then the wife said, oh my, let me go with you next time. So she went to that doctor's appointment and found out that doctor was a wonderful man who was very articulate, who was able to explain things very well, very clearly. He obviously cared about her husband and wanted to get to the bottom of things. But when he walked away from it all, he didn't remember it. So, you know, just sending somebody to a doctor's appointment is not enough. Make sure that you were there on that appointment, or that you have gone through the right paperwork so that you can talk to the doctor before and after the meeting to tell them about the things that you're noticing and to find out exactly what the doctor is recommending. And you have to advocate for yourself at the doctor's office. There are still doctors out there that may say, oh, you know what, this is just old age. And I'm here to tell you those things that I pointed out are not normal. That should not be happening as you age. Dementia is not a natural progression of age that everybody goes through. It's something specific to individuals who have a disease process going on that should be treated. So if you find that one doctor is not interested or doesn't care to look into it more, you may need to go to another doctor or a specialist, a neurologist, to find out what's going on.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful day. The sun is shining, and I hope that you came and learned something, and that's really my goal. So I hope everything continues to go well for you. And if you have any questions, again, you can just send me that privately. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.